Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Cup of Joe with Joe and Joe podcast. I am your host, Joe, and with me, as always, is my wonderful co-host, Joe.
Oh boy, I am loving the spring weather. Let me tell you, I think we have picked a great anime to go into the end of the school year and summer. And man, we're talking about Anohana, baby.
The flowers we saw that day. Joe, this is about as far as... Oh, real quick, everyone, hello again. Welcome back to Cup of Joe. It's episode 24.3. I'm talking in a very calm voice because it is a very... No, it's not. It's not a calming. It's not a calming anime whatsoever. What the hell am I talking about? But it is, as I was saying, probably like the farthest in the opposite direction of Attack on Titan, which I think is awesome because I'm just like, yeah, you ain't gonna typecast this podcast, motherfucker. Yeah, so we're gonna be talking about Anohana, the flower we saw that day. First 6 episodes. And Joe, I just want to start this off by saying, and you know this already, I texted you yesterday when I was watching it. I got to episode 6 of 11, and I was like, I can't stop. I have to finish it. So I did, but I'm going to try and restrain myself to talking just generally about the first 6 episodes. That way I don't go, and that way I try not to go too much into 7 through 11. Because that's next week, Joe. We're milking this content.
Yes. So, oh man. Okay. So, let me get a little background here. So, Anohana, the flower we saw that day, this thing came out in 2011. Literally,
decade ago.
which is insane to me. I remember watching this. I was in 8th grade, so this is 2 years after it came out, so 2013, and I remember being on like the Bleach website or whatever, like a Bleach anime site, and in the little chat thing on the side, I was talking to somebody, and they just recommended this anime to me. Because I was talking about how I was like, oh yeah, I'm like, I really just want like a kind of like lighthearted anime. And this anime would be, after this would be like the bread and butter of Josemino anime. Like slice of life, emotional, like friends, summertime, it's nothing that crazy and it makes you cry.
Yeah.
So when Joe and I were like, oh, okay, Attack on Titan, not going to get some episodes for a while, I was like, hell yeah, let's watch this shorter one. Because what I used to do is I used to rewatch this thing every summer. I missed the past 2 summers rewatching it. I remember watching it freshman year of college, but I'm excited to rewatch it now. And oh my goodness, so much nostalgia watching this thing, and it's funny. I'm like, wow, this is going to be the first time you're ever watching it because, as I started watching the first couple episodes, I got a little nervous. I'm like, I don't know if Joe's going to like this.
Well, lucky for you, I did. I'm going to hold off on saying anything else just because, like, again, I've seen all of it now, but I don't want to talk too much about the thing as a whole. So I'll just say this first half, I was intrigued enough by to want to watch the second half immediately afterwards, which I dare us to say is a good sign. Joe, I even wrote down so here's the thing. We all know I'm shit at remembering character names. I can't even do it when there's like 2 main characters and like a side character. So when I learned that there were 6 kids in this one group, I was like, oh shit. So at the top of my notes, I just have a bunch, and here's the other thing. I have every one of their names, but then I have crisscrossed bits because each character has like 3 names that they use in the show, Joe.
Yeah, it's funny.
It's kind of drove me insane.
It's all their nicknames.
Yeah, it's all because like there's obviously Japan has the thing where it's like you call them by, I don't know if it's like their surname or their last name, whatever the hell it is, but it's like if you're talking to someone politely, I guess it's like it looks like to us the last name that they call them by. If they're like more friends than they call them by the first name, it looks like. And then they have all, like, I'm assuming the other ones are like their kid nicknames. Like you have Anjo is the last name, but Anoru is like the kitty nickname for that particular character, which is also, incidentally, my favorite character of the show. I fucking love Anoru, and I want to marry her, but she has other needs, and we'll get into that.
All right. Okay. I'm gonna get this rolling. Okay. So we watched the first episode, and I watched this episode. I forget what day last week, but it was a warm day. I watched it right next to my balcony with the door
Oh
open
yeah.
and the wind blowing in. I was in shorts and a t-shirt, and I was like, "Oh my goodness!" I'm like, "This is it." I'm like, "There might be 6 weeks left in the semester, but the school year's over."
That's it. The signal's the end. I'm done.
Yeah. My body is like, "Wait, you're watching Anohana? Okay, school year has to be over." Um, so I couldn't remember if I watched the dub or sub of this when I originally watched this all those years ago and when I rewatched it. But I realized after doing some research, I watched the sub and I was talking with Joe and we both decided to watch the dub on Netflix. And I got to say the dub's okay. I think it's perfectly fine. Doesn't bother me and it also doesn't blow me away. I'm like, okay, cool, fine. Dub is funny.
I liked it.
Yeah. So
I also don't like reading subtitles, but that's just me.
no, I completely understand. And this whole thing that, like, I'm not going to get in this huge debate, but that, like, sub no matter what is better, it's not true. It's really to each person.
I
Like,
want to appreciate the character design of Anoru. Let me look at Anoru.
yes, and also at the same time, there are bad dubs.
That too, yeah. But this one I thought was perfectly fine. Like there was nothing in there that I was like, yeah, it was good.
Joe, what do you think of this opening?
I was not confused. So this is the first time that I saw it, Anohana. This is really the first time that I've heard of it. Like I guess like in peripheral, I've like seen the title card go flashing by on a video or something like that. But this is the first time I've ever sat down and watched and actively recognized the words Anohana and actually watched the show. So starting it off with Jinta playing a video game, and then all of a sudden you've got Menma just like crawling over him, just being like, "Hey, what are you doing?" And I was just like, I'm like, okay, cool. And then when they go downstairs, I think the moment Jinta's dad walks in and starts talking to him, and doesn't acknowledge Menma within the first like 2 seconds, I was like, oh, is this Sixth Sense? And then I was like, wait, did I figure out the twist like way before I was supposed to? Luckily, no. Within like the first 5 minutes, they reveal like, yeah, Menma is she's dead. And I'm like, okay, so I'm not like gonna have to sit here for 10 episodes knowing the twist when in actuality it's like, oh, she's been dead all along. It's like, no, they get that shit right out of the way. So that was kind of interesting, I guess, because like after that, I was like, okay, I really have no idea where this is going. And outside of some very vague Google searches that brought up the question, does Anohana have a sad ending? I, again, had no idea where this was going. So the fact that it was about, how I want to phrase this, the fact that it was about, like, childhood friends that have, like, drifted apart because of a tragedy, the death of Menma, also full spoilers. Again, that's not only a spoiler you find out in the first 5 minutes, but we're spoiling you know what this is. It's the discussion. Shut up. Joe, it's frying my brain already.
Okay. Let me hop in real quick. So
Okay.
I also meant the opening as in like the opening song because the opening song is fucking fire. The whole music in this show, I love it. When I was younger, I had oh my goodness, it wasn't even SoundCloud wasn't even around or Spotify. It was I had an MP3 downloader and I did a YouTube to MP3 converter, and I
Hell
had
yeah!
a like little anime playlist, and this is one including Bleach openings and like Dragon Ball openings. I had this, and I just love the music. So
Don't stop, look now, don't stop. Going from that to the opening of this song, like that must be such tonal whiplash for you if you have it on shuffle and you just go from
yeah,
Dragon Ball
yeah,
to Anohana.
yeah. I very much did not do that, but
Okay.
music is awesome. We get introduced to our guest, quote unquote, main character, Jinta, who is a recluse and a horny motherfucker.
A little bit, not as like after the first like episode or two, it calms it down a whole lot. It's like, it's like a Game of Thrones or something where it's like, yeah, we have violence and sex, and then it's like, oh, but we also have a pretty good story. So once you actually get into it, then all that stuff kind of trails away.
Yeah, yeah. So yeah, it definitely trails away. It's just funny those initial like Jinta being a little like, "Oh my God, Menma, please get off of me because you're touching me in weird places." Like at
Does
first,
he win at the when he's sitting at the what I will equate to the dinner table, and Memma like sits in his lap and is like angry at him for something and just like wiggling around. And then there's the funny little face he makes and the little sound effect that goes like ding, and then he falls backwards. Did 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 she make him come?
I don't know. I think it's more like a implied. It's like later on he gets a nosebleed. I think from something similar. Or no, it was he yells at her. I think that was in episode 6.
Yeah, he was doing that here and he got a nosebleed.
Yeah, so I think it's equivalent to like the nosebleed where it's like, oh my goodness, so many emotions, I'm gonna pass out. So I don't know. This is a kid show, not really. Maybe I don't know.
No,
this isn't.
not
This is
really.
like a high schooler anime.
It's
So
it's a coming of age, so yeah, I would put it in that.
yeah,
Like,
yeah, and this is a slice of
yeah.
life anime if there's ever been a slice of life anime. So Joe, you did a great job describing, kind
I
of the
mean,
intro. What were you gonna say? You go,
ye-
you go.
I was just saying, like, it is kind of slice of life, but I equate slice of life more so with just like day to day stuff. This has a plot and like an end goal, so I'd say it's a part slice of life, but more so, I don't know what you would call it, but I'd say it's only part slice of life.
Okay, okay, I get that. I think I actually agree with you. Now, yeah, I agree with you. So, we get introduced to the situation, a little bit of background, and basically this group of friends has been split up since one of their friends died in a tragedy, Menma, when they were
Menma.
young. And now,
Dumbass.
oh my God. Way too soon, man. Way too
I don't
soon.
mean it. Yeah, it's too soon. Too soon.
So basically, Menma has come back as some form of a ghost that Jinta can only see. And
Or a summer beast.
yeah, he calls it like a summer beast, like, oh, I'm just hallucinating and you're here because of all the stress. And in the second episode, we start getting introduced to. Actually, I forgot one of my notes from the first episode. Honoru is a babe. Wow, Anjo.
Fucking love Honor. Hey, real quick, right off the bat, like for the first 6 episodes, I just want to go through mainly because I just want to show that I can call all the characters by their names. But I just want to go through and say like my quick impressions of all the characters. Jinta, he's the main character. He's a little bland, but plenty of room for growth, and I appreciate that from where he starts off to where he ends up by at least episode 6 and how that's ending up. Menma, sweet little bean. Her character type could have annoyed me very easily. It didn't. I can say that with certainty. It did not. But I can in the beginning I was like, how's this gonna go? Luckily, it was on the right side of the line for me. Anoru, my wife. Popo. I need no more explanation. I also love her character stuff. I think it's fucking great, but I want to talk about it more as a complete package for next week, so I'm going to save a lot of the Anoru stuff that I want to talk about for then. But just know, I fucking love her, and when we get to talking about episode 2, I have a lot of nostalgic feelings about the Game Boy scene. We'll get there. Popo, Popo's awesome. He's just a really cool dude, and we will have a top 3 quotes from Popo very soon because again, half of my notes are just Popo quotes. Um, uh, Yaikatsu, did I pronounce that right?
Yukiatsu.
Yukiatsu. Yes. Okay. Yukiatsu. Fucking crazy. My least favorite character by far. And then Sudoku. Probably the character I am the most neutral on. But again, most of her important stuff comes in the second half, so we will get there.
Yes, yes, yes. Okay. So we get introduced to Popo, and Popo is the GOAT. He is freaking awesome. He's like that very, like, he's that kid in your friend group where he's not the smartest, but he's funny, he's goofy, he's always happy, and you can always rely on him to have your back. That's Popo.
He's a good, loyal puppy, and I fucking love him for that.
Yes. So Popo is best boy.
Yeah, Popo is best boy confirmed.
In the second episode, the second episode is one of my favorites just because of the Pokemon throwback. Like,
Oh, it's so good.
it's so damn good. Like, they call it Nokemon.
When I heard that, I was like, "What is this?" And then I saw the screens as they were playing. I was like, this is great."
Yeah, that whole scene of just friends hanging out. Anjo is a closet nerd. She works at a video game store. She has those big nerdy glasses. She has all her video games and comics organized. Like, it's super
She
funny.
Let's comics, Joe.
I know, she literally is your wife. She's a redhead.
Makes me so sad.
Do you have a thing for redheads?
Maybe.
Okay. I hope so. I mean, you can't go wrong with a redhead. But moving on.
I mean, that's what you named me.
Yes, that's exactly it. So, literally, if there's anything you get out of this series, that Pokemon throwback scene, if you played Pokemon at all as a kid, it's going to be super... it just puts a smile on your face. It's really, really a great scene. And that's mainly...
I want to...
the main episode. Let me just finish this real quickly, because this is where I think it's in episode 2 that we get introduced that Menma has a wish that she needs to be granted, and that kind of becomes the main theme. Ooh, hit my mic. The main theme of the story is that, okay, we need to grant Menma's wish, and it's a matter of actually figuring out what it is because she can't remember.
Right, yeah. Yeah, that would be the driving. That's like the driving force of it all. And so the initial idea that I think Popo comes up with it, right? Where he's just like,
Popo.
oh, she never got to collect all the Nokemon or whatever. So Jinta goes into the game store where Anoru works at, and this is after she's already dropped off some stuff for him in the first episode, and you can see there's kind of a tension there. And you don't really find out. Well, you find it out a little bit later on throughout like the other episodes, so it's okay to talk about it here because this is all pre-episode 7. But Anoru kind of had a pretty big crush on Jinta, and after the death of Menma, obviously Jinta kind of recedes into himself and he goes back. Everyone deals with their grief in their own ways. Most not very well. We'll get to it. But so she has the crush on Jinta, and she wants to be with him, but after he, became a recluse, she never really saw him that much, and she kind of grew apart from him. She kind of kept him at arm's length. And then, after Jinta runs into Popo, and they start hanging out, and then he goes to the shop, and he's talking with her a little bit, and then he's like, oh, in order to complete my Noki Dex, or whatever the hell it would be called, I need to trade with another person who would have the game. Lo and behold, the nerdy girl would of course have the copy of the game, and so there's this wonderful scene of Popo just sitting on Anoru's bedroom floor reading comics as Jinta and Anoru are playing their Nokemon games, and they're getting all their stuff, and it's awesome because I can see myself doing this same sort of stuff as well, just like friends hanging out and playing Game Boy game in like Snapchat memories pop up. I had an image of me with the wire connecting my Game Boy and my friend's Game Boy, and we were playing Pokemon, doing stuff, and I was like, I can't believe this came up. Like, it came up today, so like the day after I watched this, and I was like, the gods are telling me something, Joe. But then seeing their little connection when they're like the joy of getting the Pokemons, or no, sorry, excuse me, the Nokimons that they need, and then they connect the things, and then they have that cute little moment where Anaru looks over at him and has the nice little blush because they're hanging out again and they're being cool. And then Menma fucking ruins it. But it's whatever. It's just such a nice, cute thing, and like by episode 2, Joe, I think I was in for the long haul. I was like, oh god, I am in no matter what.
Yeah, they quickly get you emotionally invested in the characters, and that's what drives this whole show, is the characters, the friends, and their relationship, this friend group. And the one thing I forgot to say is I said that Jinta is a recluse, but he's a recluse to the point where he doesn't go to school anymore. And it's a big thing throughout the show that his dad doesn't give him any grief about not going to school. And it's kind of just one of those things where, like, deep down he knows he probably should, but he just can't do it. He's very much like, oh, I don't want to interact with people. I just want to stay inside and play video games. And
Yeah.
it's literally to the point that when he does go out, he puts on a hat and sunglasses to kind of like disguise himself.
Yeah, like I never really, even after finishing it, like I thought about that some more, and I was like, but why though? Like I guess he just didn't want to be seen being like, oh hey, Jinta's finally outside. But I don't know, I just thought it was a little bit unnecessary that he had to Marvel Cinematic Universe disguise himself, just a hoodie, hat, and glasses.
Yeah, it's it's very goofy, but definitely adds to that. I think it helps get an idea of like, wow, this dude really isn't confident in himself.
Yeah.
While when you get the flashbacks, he was the fucking man. He was the leader of the group, and he was the guy. So Menma's death really just destroyed him.
Yeah. Speaking of Menma's death destroying people, let's talk about Yukiatsu. Because he terrifies me on an existential level. And I
Okay.
don't know how to explain it further than that.
So this is the first note I have on. I have two notes on Yukiatsu. Number one, Yukiatsu sucks.
Yes.
And this is when, what is it? Oh, this is during the barbecue when he's just being an asshole. This is episode 3 when it's like the beginning of the barbecue and they're all hanging out. And they're hanging out at the secret base, which is where Popo crashes when he's in Japan, because Popo's a cultured man and travels.
He's a world traveling man.
He's a 5th level shaman that he got certified in Vietnam.
I can't. That it's incredible. I love that.
What
That's not one of my top 3 quotes, though.
In this episode 3, real quickly. No. I'm gonna go back to it. Okay, Yukiatsu sucks. Yukiatsu is the preppy glasses boy. No, he doesn't have glasses. I just imagine him with glasses. Fucking hell. He's basically Uryu from Bleach.
That's exactly what I was thinking. He's Uryu from Bleach if he was more obnoxious and arrogant.
He's a smart, preppy schoolboy, pretty boy. And the second note I have on Yukiatsu is, it's a trap!
Yeah. The only note I have on Yukiatsu is fucking crazy. Because yes, he's a trap, but not really, because he's not. That's the other thing. So we're just going to bury the lead here. There's a point where Yukiatsu says, like, I have my own Menma that I see. That's different from the Menma that Jinta sees, because Jinta is the only one who can see Menma. And they're all like, really? And he's like, yeah. And so every once in a while, Popo will see this different Menma. And whatchamacallit, Suruko and Popo and Anaru and Jinta all one night go running out after because they say that they see her, and they run out and they chase her, and eventually, who is it? Jinta? No, no one catches him. Him. We'll get to it. That's the. I'm gonna say that so many times this episode. Menma, quote unquote, falls down a hill and crashes, and then the wig pops off, and then everyone realizes this really tall, kind of semi fit dude. Like you look at the arms and you're just like, yeah, that's not Menma. That's like 3 Menma arms right there. But you see, and it's just Yukiatsu dressed up as Menma, just pretending to be her. And I don't. Maybe you can explain this more so to me. Why does he dress up as Menma? Like, I understand that he's like unhinged because of obviously her death, and he was insanely in love with her and all sorts of stuff. But like, I don't understand why he had to dress up as her and like go prancing around the woods.
See, this is the thing. So, oh man, this is I remember I watched a couple of videos about it, and people have different opinions. The best way I like thinking about it is, I think it's more powerful that I don't understand why he does it. It's so, like, when I first found it, I was like, oh my god, I'm like, he's a cross-dresser, but like, he had this stuff for a while. He didn't just start buying it because Jinta started seeing Menma. It's implied that he had it for a while, and I don't know. I guess it's the way he's been dealing with the grief of losing her. I don't know if it's very strange, and I can't understand it. Like, and I think that's what gives it its impact, is that it's very hard to understand, but at the same time, it's like, wow, it adds a lot to his character. Even if he's not the most likable character, you realize, oh shit, this dude really is fucked up. Like, he's struggling with a lot, to the point he's cross-dressing as the girl that died to help him get through it. I can't understand it, and at first you might think, oh my god, what the fuck, or even find it a little funny. But there's a scene when he's crying to Jinta in the woods about like why can he see her and Yukiatsu can't. You
suck, Yukiatsu.
I believe there's a scene where he's crying at his desk when he puts the little hairpin on her wig, and yeah, like I said, he sucks, but at the same time, I feel so bad for him as well.
Yeah, he's quite, again, he throws around the word pitiful to other people, but very early on, like, Suruko kind of mentions that he's mostly describing himself, yeah, he's pitiful, but also it's really weird and crazy, and I just don't know how to feel about him in like this first half. The second half, I have a more defined idea, but like in the beginning, I really was like, I don't understand this guy, and the fact that he still shows up and he's just such a sourpuss to everyone all the time. I'm like, why are you here? Why do you bother coming here?
Yeah. Oh my goodness, I'm forgetting Glasses girl name. You just said it.
Suruko.
Suruko. Yeah, she very much is like, all this shit you keep telling the people, it's really just about yourself. So yeah, episode 3. I was really waiting. I'm like, I forgot how I thought that happened later in the show, and I was like, oh crap!
Get that shit out quickly.
I'm like, oh man, wonder what Joe's gonna think of this. But even though some weird shit like that goes down in episode 3 and 4, we have my personal favorite Popo quote in episode 3. And
oh boy.
It is when Popo is talking to Jinta, and he's like, Jinta, I saw Menma. Like, she came to visit me. And,
yes.
And Jinta's like, what are you talking about? He goes, well, I went outside, and I went to take a whiz, and it must have been... It must have been the arc of my stream. I don't know, man. And this is the quote. My junk unlocked a higher plane. What the fuck? I did not pick that up. any other times that I watch the show. I picked it up now. I'm like,
Seriously?
I'm like, what did Popo just say? And I had to rewind it. I'm like, his junk unlocked a higher plane. Oh my god. Who
love
comes
you,
up with
Popo.
this shit?
I don't know, but they're a genius. All right, since we're on the topic, my top 3. Get ready for a top 3 list, everybody. IGN, Watch Mojo. Watch out, I'm coming for you. Top 3 favorite quotes from Popo, and I can do it because they're all in the first 6 episodes. I think they're all before episode 3, because the way I have them written out, it's like chronologically the one you just said is the last one that I have written down, so everything else comes before that. So at number 3, and again, I don't remember the context for all of these, but if you can help me through some of them. No, it really doesn't, because without context, they're still great. But so number 3, time for the jungle cruise, and he's like taking off his pants, and then I think Jinta is the one who's just like, no, Popo, and he's like, and disembarking, and he pulls the pants back up.
Yes, that's such a great one. I love that.
I fucking love it. Second Popo quote. No, Popo quote. In second place, we have "Show me the jiggle." Now that one, I don't remember the context at all, and I think it makes it even funnier.
I'm trying to remember the context as well.
What was "Show me the jiggle" context from?
Oh my
Was it like a food?
I have no clue. You sure that wasn't?
Show me the jiggle. It was Popo. Like I only wrote down quotes from Popo. I'm just trying to remember what "Show me the jiggle" was from.
Doesn't matter. As long as you're talking about Jigglypuff, I'm happy.
Oh yes, of course. And then for the final quote, we've already said it, but it's "I think my junk unlocked a higher plane." When he said that, I was like, this man is on a whole nother level. It's just incredible. I fucking love Popo.
Menma had a good quote in episode 4. Jinta says something. He's like, "Oh, I'm just a big loser chicken," and Menma's like, "No, I think you're a big winner chicken."
Yes. When she said that, all I could think of was Mega Ultra Chicken from the Yu-Gi-Oh! Bridge series.
Yes.
Just imagine Menma showing up to fight Merrick, and he's like, "Behold, Mega Ultra Chicken," and she's like, "No, I think you're a good Mega Chicken," and he's like, "What are you talking about?" And she just cutes Merrick into the Shadow Realm and like death. That'd be great. I want that mashup now.
Oh, okay. So we're after the big whole cross-dressing trap reveal happens. We get an idea of what's going on with Yukiyatsu, and he's pretty sad. But in episode 5, we get some more Anjo Anaru development. Because with Anaru, like, we've described her because we're like, yes, we love her as a nerdy girl, but she's a closet nerd. She is very much like she is a plastic for my Mean Girl fans.
100%.
Or she's trying to be. And her 2 other friends are very much like straight out of Mean Girls. And
I hate them so much.
They did a very good job in making them hateable. And she is, I guess, trying to hang out with them. I don't know. She's trying to be somebody she's not, which is mentioned in the earlier episodes.
Yeah, she's got like a personality like a sponge, where she just absorbs and follows what the other people around her are like.
Yeah. And so the one in this episode, she's out with them and some boys at like a karaoke bar. They're like drinking and stuff.
I forgot about this.
And she is like, "This is so dumb. I want to go home and play Pokemon."
This makes me so uncomfortable.
And one of the dudes is like, "Hey, you having fun?" And she's like, "Yeah." And he's like, "You don't look like you're having fun." And then he does the whole, "Oh, hey, me and Anjo are gonna head out. Like, we're getting a little tired." Oh, this is another good quote. He's like, "Yeah, I gotta get back in time to watch One Piece." And then his friend's like, "One Piece isn't even on tonight." Which is funny.
Shut up, nerd.
It gets very, very serious real quickly. And then
it makes me uncomfortable. I don't know if you heard, Joe, but this scene
I
makes me uncomfortable.
Yes, and Anjo ends up walking back with the dude, and she's like, "Okay, he probably just got me out of there because he realized I wasn't having fun." She's like, "Oh, we're not walking to the train station." Then he's like, "No, we're walking to my hotel." He's like,
Walking to my
"Yeah,
love hotel.
why don't you come in with me? We can spend the night or whatever." And she's like, "Oh, fuck, this dude wants me to fuck him." And she's like, "Nope, nope, I'm going back." And he like calls her a slut. He's like, "Oh, come on, I know you want to," and it very much gets rapey real quick. And my
on
boy,
on the rape odometer, we go from 0 to 60 real quick.
we go from One Piece to 60 very fast. Anaru's like, "Don't you want to watch One Piece?" And he's like, "One Piece isn't even on tonight." I'm sorry for
Joe,
laughing, but it's kind of funny.
it is a little funny. That One Piece to 60, I stood and applauded for that. That deserved it.
Thank you, thank you. And so our boy Yukiatsu shows up because he saw her at the train station, and I guess he followed her because the creepy boy he is. And again, they just don't even talk about why he followed her or how long he was following her because she was at that club for a while. So what was Yukiatsu doing during that time? We're not going to talk about it.
I like to imagine he carries the wig with him and he was just sniffing it in an alley somewhere.
Oh boy. So Yukiatsu shows up. He's like, "Oh, hey, Ancho. How you doing? My boy Jinta and them are here. Jinta, hey, Ancho's over here." And then the frat boy's like, "Oh shit, they're gonna catch me. Gotta get back to my hotel." Gets away, and eventually, and then she kind of breaks. I don't think she starts crying, but she's on her knees like, "Holy shit, that almost just happened. And if Yukiatsu
Yeah.
didn't show up, I would have been fucked." And then at that point, they go back on a train ride home, and you find out about, she kind of confirms what Yukiatsu thought, that like, "Hey, you like Jinta," and they talk about, she kind of makes fun of him for being a cross-dresser, and they get a little bit of like friendship development, which was nice, and I like the train ride back scene.
Yeah, it was nice, and I also enjoy because like they don't make fun of Yukiatsu being a cross-dresser that much. I think it's like, Anaru gets one, and then Soroko gets one. That's about it.
Soroko gets like
because
3 or 4.
I guess I feel like one of them is a flashback to when she, whatever, doesn't matter. But because he's not, I don't think he's actually a cross-dresser. I think
No. It's
it's
this
not because
weird
he wants
coping
to wear a
mechanism.
dress. Yeah, it's something wrong with his brain because he watched the love of his childhood life die. Well, he didn't watch the love of his childhood life die. We'll get to this. We'll be right back. No, but it's just the weird coping mechanism of his. It's not the fact that he wants to wear the dress because he likes wearing a dress or something like that. It's because his brain no work too well because of trauma. So yeah, I appreciate that they didn't really harp on that too much. Number one, because they're friends. Number two, because it's not really correct, and I feel like they would be smart enough to realize that.
I get it. Like they handled it well. And so we get into episode 6, and in this episode, it's kind of you get some follow through of what happened to Anjo, and Jinta decides to go back to school. There's a funny little scene at the beginning of the episode where he freaks out over a horror movie, and literally his reaction I wrote down. I'm like, me every time with horror. So Jinta's like, "All right, I'm gonna actually go to school this time." He makes it in and sits down. He's waiting to everybody be like, "Oh my God, Jinta came back after missing like a whole trimester." But nobody says anything because everybody's talking about that slut Anjo.
I will, Joe. I paused the show, and I had to think about what I would do if I was in Jinta's situation, and I made a
Protect
solemn vow.
yo girl.
I would stand up. I would confront the last person to speak ill of my wife, and I would tell them to apologize. And if they didn't, I would roundhouse kick their face through the desk.
Well,
I reenacted this. I practiced my leg motions, Joe. Protect her at all costs.
Anjo is best girl. And, Jinta does something similar, Joe. He just doesn't do it so chivalrously. He's like, hi, guys. Stop talking about her. So what if she went to a love hotel? She's a nerd, if you didn't know that. But me, I miss school. I'm a recluse. I stay inside and play video games. Ha,
Yeah,
ha,
talk about
ha.
me. Talk about me.
And it's so cringy. Like, it's really hard to
It's so
watch that.
cringy.
You're like, oh, it's rough, but it in a good way, in the best way possible. Like, it
Yeah.
works, and it's supposed to be cringy, and it really does distract them from talking about Anjo, and eventually they just leave class, and Anjo is
Yeah.
laughing her ass off with him on in the school, in like the playground. And I just love their relationship, like specifically like as friends they're really good friends to each other. They obviously have each other's back, and they really care about each other. And you see it earlier, but I don't know, that little scene on the swing set or playground or whatever it was, really, I was like, oh man, I'm like, they're such a cute couple of friends.
Yeah. Um, and like what you said about them having each other's backs, like, yes, this is true. But later on, we'll see one has the other one's back a little bit more, and the other one just kind of walks away. But we'll get to that later on. That's next week, um, because this episode ends with Anjo ends up leaving, like walking away from Jinta, and she, instead of going back home because like she skipped out on class and all this sort of stuff. So instead of dealing with her mother, she just takes some of her crap and then she moves on into the old play head. What do they call it?
HQ.
HQ. Okay, I was right with almost going with headquarters. So she moves into HQ with Popo. Whatchamacallit. Jinta is having a conversation with Menma, and this is the point where he's telling her to live for herself a little bit more, think of herself a little bit more, right? That's what the argument is about.
Yeah. So they still have to figure out like what's Memma's wish. So the Jinta, Popo, and Anjo go to Menma's family's place, and they actually end up getting Menma's diary, trying to see if they're getting any clues. And Menma gets really upset when she finds out that they went there, and Jinta gets mad, but in a defensive way, like, "Hey, like, you're literally dead. Like, come on, you should be a little selfish here. We need to try and figure out a way to get you to heaven," which is what they pretty much, that's what it's implying, that she is kind of like stuck in purgatory and she needs to have something to happen in order for her to rest easy. And yeah, he's telling her like, hey, like, use this time to be happy. Like, obviously you're dead, that sucks. But yeah, in a sense he's telling her to live for herself, even though maybe living is a very bad word to use in this situation.
It's an inappropriate word to use in this context, maybe, but you get the point. But yeah, so like he's yelling at her about that, just trying to get that point across, and then he starts having a nosebleed. And at this point, I thought there was some sort of like wacky supernatural shit going on, but no. I feel comfortable saying that's not a spoiler to say that that's not what was happening. He just got a nosebleed because he was getting so worked up. And then he runs off, and the episode ends with him running into HQ, Jinta that is, in order to find not Popo, but Anoru. And she is,
Looking
I'd
good.
say in a state, she is looking good. In a state of undress, kind of, but not really. Like, she's just in like nightwear almost. And so, of course, because he had had the nosebleed previously, like he walks in unexpectedly and sees her in her nightwear, and she's just sort of like, what? And then his nose starts bleeding. She's like, get you fucking pervert. And he's like, no, I swear, nose was bleeding before what are you
throws
doing?
throws a tire at him and anything she
Yeah.
can find. And the HQ is for the Super Peace Busters, which is their group. They protect the peace.
They protect the
Obviously.
peace.
It was a group they formed when they were younger. But yes, she has moved into HQ. And I will also say Popo has great porn humor. When
He
Anjo
really
first
does,
moves
yeah.
in and she's cleaning up, she's like, "Oh my god, you can't
She's
even
touching all of his used tissues.
And she's just cleaning it all up. And he's like, hey, be careful with that stuff. And
You
even
can't touch any of that.
he goes, you don't know what you're touching. He's like, oh my god, your hands. But which is hilarious. But also, I wanted to say another great Popo quote is when Jita first gets into the base and he realizes somebody's living there and he picks up the porn and all you hear is Popo from the background say, only a true connoisseur would know that that's just like an appetizer to the real
Yeah,
deal.
exactly. God
So-
damn it, Popo.
Popo's a hentai connoisseur.
It seems that way. He's probably got a few. Actually, no. I was gonna say he's probably got a few thick casa double page spreads, but then again, that wasn't around back then, was it?
The Casa was not around back then.
Thick casa transcends all space and time. Yeah, and so like episode 6, I'm pretty sure ends with Jinta going in and getting the tire thrown at him because I don't know, it was just like pervert, and I just found that
Yeah, that's it. That's
very
it.
funny.
And it's funny too because I'm pretty sure episode 7, like we even though we picked like the halfway mark, things start to change at episode 7.
Yeah, things definitely like it. Stuff occurs in every single episode that you're just sort of like, oh my god, what the heck is this? But yeah, there's definitely a turning point towards the halfway of the season, episode 7, and I am very excited to get into all of that next week. But again, we'll get to it.
Wonderful. Well, Joe, I am ecstatic to hear that you are enjoying this. I'm even more ecstatic to hear what you think of the ending because I know how it ends. I know how it ends. It's just a matter of right now. It's been I think over close to 3 years since I've rewatched it. So it's a matter of kind of figuring out the road to the ending. I'm trying to remember exactly what happens. I have a general idea. So part of it's going to be like
Yeah, but you need all them.
it's going to be like I'm watching it and be like I think I know what happens and I'm like, "Oh, wait, I forgot that happens." So who knows? Maybe next time we talk I'll just be an emotional mess.
Yeah, and next time we talk, I'll let you know whether I cry. I will confirm. First 6 episodes, I did not cry. So we will see if in the last 5 episodes I ended up crying. You'll have to wait till next week to find out, because everyone wants to know about it. Any other closing remarks, though, on the first half of Anohana?
No. I have nothing else. I've said everything. It is a dream come true that I am speaking of this on the Joe and Joe podcast.
That makes me so happy that you're so goddamn passionate about this. Yeah, all right. That's going to be it from these couple of Joes. I'm shaking the ink. Can you hear it? You probably can. Yeah, so be sure to like, comment, subscribe, all that wonderful stuff. Be sure to tune in next week for the final half of Anohana, and then whatever else we end up doing with the future of this sort of stuff. And yeah, that's going to be it from us. Thank you all for listening, and goodbye.